What's going on, everyone? This is Al Rashi, and what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be looking at some trade talks and rumors that the Raptors have been going through over the last couple weeks, and who I believe are going to be better fits than others in terms of the rumors. Who I feel will be the best fits for the Raptors in the upcoming days. The trade deadline is on February 10th, so we'll see what the Raptors can do in terms of adjusting and making some trades here that would benefit them in the long run and hopefully get them into legitimate playoff seeding and not have to fight through the play-ins. All right, so let's take a look at who are players that are available and who are not. Okay, so first let's get rid of the players that we are absolutely not going to trade unless something drastic happens and we get a superstar in return. There's no way we're trading Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Gary Trent Jr., probably not Kem Birch, and obviously Scotty Barnes. So we're not going to get rid of any of those players. However, everybody else is pretty much tradable, but the ones that I believe are pieces that other teams might be interested in are probably Malachi Flynn, Yuta Watanabe, possibly Goran Dragic. Obviously, we're trying to get rid of him either way. We have Boucher that people might be interested in, Precious, Svi, Mihailik, supposedly was supposed to be a 3-point threat for us, did not really work out the way we wanted it to, and we have a whole bunch of trade. We have a whole bunch of picks that we could trade as well. We have from the 2022 season to 2022 um, draft all the way till the 2028, I believe, first round picks. So we could throw in a whole bunch of picks as well. However, what we want in return, what do we want in return? I mean, there's been talks about having to get a big in return and might fill in that hole where we don't have a center right now. There's no way we're going to compete in the East if we're going to try to compete in the East in terms of playoffs and battling guys like Embiid who expose us all the time, especially when we're playing where we can't even guard him. Essentially, like, there's nobody there to guard him. So some of the players that I think are best in this sense are to go with Jakob Porto here. He's a big man from the San Antonio Spurs, 7'1", so legitimate 7 foot center. Okay, he's given the Spurs 13 and 9, and in terms of blocks, like that's something I want to look at as well. Obviously, because as a big man, you want to be able to protect the rim. He's not the greatest, but just that presence, a 7 footer, is intimidating regardless. So having a center like Jakob Porto who can who knows what his role, he knows what he needs to do. He can set up the pick and roll, free up some space for the guards, for Fred VanVleet. He's a capable passer. He knows how to essentially distribute the ball if he needs to. He won't make a lot of mistakes. 1.7 in terms of blocks, so he's not going to make a lot of blocks for you in the game, but just having his presence there is important. The next player that I think the Raptors should go for in terms of bigs here, okay, so we're not eliminating the fact that we need to get some guards as well. However, let's just go through the centers first. So then there's also Miles Turner, right? So we have Miles Turner. He's 6'11 player, so he's legitimate. He's almost a 7 footer. He's great in terms of blocks. He's a presence inside in terms of defensively. 2.8 blocks per game so far this season, which is amazing. So if the Raptors can get on board with that, then that would be essentially someone that we can definitely use in terms of having him in the game and rotating our power forwards, giving them some rest, obviously, because we have a whole bunch of power forwards, pretty much no legitimate centers. Then he's also given the Pacers some scoring, 13 and 7. Not to say that this is going to be important in terms um, of scoring. Like, we don't really necessarily need Miles Turner to score that much. We have some scores, but we just need him to be able to be a presence and capable of scoring if we need him to, right? 7 rebounds a game is not going to cut it necessarily. That's not something that the Raptors are looking for. We need somebody that can rebound a lot better. So the next person in terms of that is Rashawn Holmes from the Sacramento Kings. There's been rumors about getting him. I mean, I don't see the real hype in that sense. He's a good young player. That's the great thing, but he's a 6'10 player. I mean, we have a whole bunch of 6'9 guys, 6'10, 6'8, right? So, I mean, it's not, he plays like a big man, which is great, but he also doesn't do too much other than that. One block a game, barely. 12 and 8 in terms of points and rebounding. He scores decently. Rebounding is not that. I mean, it's hard to get guys that are legitimate here. Double that can give you double double every night, but that's what essentially you want to look for. The last guy here, and I don't know why these were rumors in the first place. We were talking about getting the Rockets Daniel Theus. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's not somebody that we would really want, right? I mean, that could be possible, but it's not somebody that we really want in this sense. We have a whole bunch of guys that are 6'9". He's a 6'9" guy too, so 8 and 5 as well. Like that's not gonna cut it. He doesn't really score that much. Not really a great rebounder either. Doesn't really. He's not really a presence inside in terms of defense. He's not gonna block shots. He's, stuff like that. He's not gonna bother the offensive rhythm from the other team. So those are guys. Those are bigs that there's four of them that possibly can be going into to the Raptors, depending on how the trade looks like. I'm not going to get into who I would trade for who because, in this sense, like it could be any combination of any things, depending on what the other team is willing to take. I know for a fact that Spurs, if we try to get Jakob Portal, Spurs would want a lot, and they'd want somebody legitimate as well. So we can't just throw in Dragic and try to dump our unwanted players onto them or anything like that. We'd probably have to throw in a couple of draft picks as well. With Miles Turner, I feel like the Pacers won't give up on this. They also get legitimate players. They might even want Precious and Dragic and Malachi possibly with maybe a draft pick. So it's all depending on the scenario. You don't know how it's going to work out, but those are the four bigs that I would go after. And if we can pursue Portal more so than any of these, I would cut it at Porter and Miles Turner. Rashawn Holmes, although he's young, I don't know if we're going to legitimately get him. Also because of the way the contract situation works, he's at I think 10 million for 4 years. We're trying to get rid of Dragic, and if we're going to get rid of him, we have to. I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to take on the 19 million. That's a lot to ask for another team. They have to feel like they're getting something back in return. The guards. So who do we want in terms of guards? Fred VanVleet can't be playing 40 plus minutes all the time. He's the only playmaking point guard on our team. We need him to rest up. We need him to be efficient. We can't have him always be the playmaker. And I mean, Pascal Siakam has been great trying to fill in that role, being a playmaker for the team. It's not going to always work out. Pascal Siakam, that's not his game. He's not made or cut out for being the guy that brings up the ball and playing that power, the point forward. That he's not that guy. Even though we would like to see him do that more often than not, but we can't assume that he's going to take on those responsibilities. Scotty Barnes is another guy that people have been saying, oh, he can run that point forward role. He's great at passing and all that, which is good. Yeah, I know we want him to do that as well, but we want him to run the floor as well. He's a young guy. We want him to run the floor. We need guys to get him the ball down the floor. So who are some guards that we could possibly be looking at? I mean, this is the biggest what if, which is De'Aaron Fox. It's going to be a hard guy to get. Obviously, the Kings are not going to give in easy. They're going to ask for a lot. They're going to try to make it a ridiculous amount of players and or draft picks. I don't know if the Raptors are willing to do that. And even if they do get De'Aaron Fox, how are they going to play them in terms of the lineup? How is Nick Nurse going to play them in the lineup? You can't have De'Aaron Fox and Fred VanVleet on the floor at the same time. I mean, they're two guards. Fred VanVleet is smaller. Fox is a little bit. He's a taller point guard, but either way, we need them to be playing maybe at different times or a solid backup. So in that case, we might go looking after Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie apparently hasn't been working well with Beal in terms of the backcourt. He could be a guy that comes off the bench for us, assuming that he is going to do that or be willing to take on that role. Not all players want to do that. So if he does want to do that, and he can be an asset for the Raptors, then we would definitely make a trade for him. I like Spencer Dinwiddie. I've watched him play when he was in the Brooklyn Nets. I haven't really watched too many Wizards games unless they were playing the Raptors, of course. But other than that, I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie would be a good addition. Kobe White has been a name that's been thrown around, and I see his frustration. It's funny, actually, when you watch the Bulls games, you see his frustration when he's doing well and he gets taken out. The Bulls are stacked in terms of guards that want to be bringing up the ball and scoring, and you have Zach Levine and DeRozan and Lonzo Ball that can all do that, and Kobe White is not really touching the ball as much. So Raptors can pick up Kobe White. That might be an interesting pickup. He's 6'4" apparently. I didn't know he was that tall. I thought he was like 6'1" or 6'2". He's 6'4". He could be a good big guard for the Raptors, that comes off the bench and makes an impact. He scores. He's not really a playmaker necessarily, but I mean, if we just need points just to kind of cover for Fred VanVleet so he can sit out 2-3 minutes a quarter, then why not, right? So have him play, and he's a hustle player. I mean, he'll hustle. He'll go after the ball. He won't just sit there and not play defense. Um, we also have, I mean, okay, this last one I'm saying like, oh, I mean, he's a legitimate player. He hasn't played for a while, and you're probably not expecting this. But Ben Simmons, I don't even think he's gonna want to come to Toronto in the first place. But Ben Simmons is a legit player. Everybody forgets that he's a legitimate player. He's not just a nobody. He can score inside. He's a playmaker. He plays defense. He's a big guy. He's 6'10". So he can rotate on every position, defensively. So I mean, Ben Simmons, people are forgetting how good of a player he is. I mean, he doesn't shoot the ball, which is fine. We can get him to be the guy who brings up the ball and spread the court, possibly with other players that, well, that's the other problem. We don't really have great shooters either. And so there might be an issue with that, of course, but that's a long shot. We won't even get into Ben Simmons. But if we were to go after Ben Simmons, who do you think we would need to give up? So let me know your thoughts in terms of that. Who would we need to give up in order to get a guy like Ben Simmons, for example, or any other high all-star type players like De'Aaron Fox, or any other players like that? Who would we have to give up to get those players? Let me know your thoughts below. Hopefully you enjoyed this style podcast. I mean, I'm trying something different here, and we'll get back into the breakdowns as soon as games start going up, and hopefully you guys are watching those too, and subscribe to the channel and like and comment, and let me know what you would like to see on this channel, and share it with everybody that's a Raptors fan or basketball fan, anything like that.